I was 50 years old when Marcus told me he wanted a divorce. We were sitting at the same kitchen table where I used to pack his lunches, balance our bills, and help Anthony with his homework. He couldn't even look me in the eye, just stared at the steam rising from his coffee and said, "Sarah, I think we've outgrown each other." Outgrown. Like I was an old coat he didn't want to wear anymore. Before I begin, I want to thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you what really happened. We'd been married 25 years. I gave up my promotion at the credit union when Anthony was born because Marcus's hours were unstable and someone had to be home. I ran the house. I cooked, cleaned, kept our books balanced. I took care of his sick father for nearly 2 years without complaint. I didn't ask for the world. Just a little respect, a little loyalty. Instead, I got divorce papers on a Tuesday and silence by Wednesday. By the end of the month, he moved out. Said he needed space. I found out later he didn't move into an apartment or a hotel. He moved in with her. Chelsea, the woman he'd introduced to me 2 years ago as a colleague from finance. She was 32, the same age as our son. Marcus didn't even have the decency to keep it quiet. Within weeks, they were posting vacation photos, smiling on beaches, drinking wine in Sonoma. Meanwhile, I was alone in the home I built from nothing, sitting on furniture I picked out, staring at empty chairs. Anthony tried to play neutral. Poor thing. He was 27, grown, but still stuck in the middle. "I don't want to take sides," he told me. I told him, "You don't have to. I already know where everyone stands." Then one morning I got a letter in the mail. Not from Marcus, from Chelsea. It was printed on Lavender stationery, like some baby shower invitation. "Dear Sarah, please schedule a time to collect the rest of your belongings. Marcus and I are settling in and we'd prefer to start this new chapter without interruptions. Mornings are best. XO, Chelsea Parker." Chelsea Parker. She took my name, moved into my house, and had the gall to call me an interruption. I sat at that table again and stared at the letter for a long time. My tea had gone cold, but I hadn't even noticed. My hands were trembling, not from sadness, from rage. That house was mine. We bought it together, but I was the one who found it, the one who put down the down payment after working double shifts at the credit union. My name was still on the mortgage. Marcus never refinanced. He said it was too much of a hassle. Well, that hassle was about to become a problem. I picked up the phone and called my oldest friend, Linda. She'd been a lawyer for nearly 20 years and knew me better than anyone. When I explained the situation, she got quiet. Then she said, "Do you still have your name on the deed?" "Yes," I said. "He never changed it. And he never bought you out of your half." "No." "Sarah," she said slowly, "you still legally own half that house." I blinked. "What does that mean?" "It means you don't have to ask for anything. You can file for what's called a partition action. You can force a sale, or you can make them pay you." I didn't say anything at first. Then I asked, "Will they have to leave if they can't afford to buy me out?" Linda said, "Yes, they will." I stared out the window at the roses I planted last spring. They were blooming again like nothing had changed. I said, "Do it." Marcus called me 2 days later, all puffed up pride and fake concern. "Sarah, did you really hire a lawyer?" "Yes." "Why? What's the point of making this harder than it has to be?" "You already made it hard," I said. "I'm just returning the favor." He tried to guilt me like always. Told me I was bitter, that I needed to move on, that Chelsea didn't feel comfortable with me being around. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "Then maybe she shouldn't be living in a house that still has my name on the title." He hung up, but it wasn't over. Chelsea emailed me again, this time with attitude. She said I was embarrassing myself and should let younger people be happy. She said Marcus deserved a fresh start and I was holding on to a marriage that died years ago. I didn't respond. Instead, I called Linda again and said, "Let's turn up the heat." We filed the official court paperwork. The petition was clean, airtight, and unshakable. I wasn't making noise. I was making moves. Marcus didn't see it coming, and neither did she. Linda told me to stay quiet, let the court system speak for me. But when I pulled into the driveway that used to be mine and saw Chelsea's white Audi parked in my spot, I had to take a moment to breathe. I wasn't there to start a scene. I was there to collect the last of my things, like her little Lavender letter had suggested. Except I didn't knock, I used my key. The one Marcus forgot I still had because he never bothered to change the locks. I opened the door and walked into my own living room. The couch was the same, but everything else felt off. The walls were now some pale gray that looked like a hotel lobby. My family photos were gone, replaced by framed quotes like "good vibes only" and "love wins." Looked like Pinterest threw up all over my memories. I stepped into the kitchen. She'd rearranged everything. My spice rack was gone. The mason jar that once held my tea bags now held organic lollipops. I could feel something tightening in my chest. Not sadness, but a fire building in my gut. Chelsea came downstairs in one of Marcus's old t-shirts. She stopped cold when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I came to get my things," I said, holding up the email she sent me. "You're supposed to schedule a time," she snapped. "We have rules now. Boundaries." I walked past her, calm and slow. "Well, sweetheart, as long as my name's still on this house, I'll come and go as I please." Her face flushed. "Marcus will hear about this." "Good," I said. He should have been the one to greet me. I packed quietly. A few boxes, some books, a necklace from my mother. I didn't need to take much. I'd already decided I'd never live in this house again. Not because I couldn't, but because I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of thinking they pushed me out. Chelsea followed me like a shadow, arms crossed, eyes rolling. She whispered under her breath, "Pathetic." I stopped cold. "Excuse me." She straightened her back like she was about to square up. "You couldn't hold on to your husband, so now you're playing petty games. You're jealous because he wanted someone better." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't flinch. I just said, "Better doesn't last. And I'm not playing games. I'm just claiming what's mine." Then I left. That night, Linda called to say the paperwork had gone through. The court had accepted the partition action. Marcus and Chelsea were officially being notified the next morning. "Do you want to deliver it yourself?" she asked. "No," I said. "Let the system slap them." The next day Marcus called me 4 times. I didn't pick up. He left one voicemail. "Sarah, what are you doing? This is insane. You're forcing us to sell the house after everything I've done for you." I laughed out loud. Everything he'd done for me. I was the one who sacrificed promotions, stayed through layoffs, cooked every meal, paid half the bills. I didn't walk out, he did. He tried calling again the next day, so I ignored him. On the 3rd day I picked up. "Sarah, we need to talk." "So talk. Why are you doing this?" "You mean forcing a sale of a house I still legally own? You know we can't afford to buy you out right now. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you moved her in." His tone changed, soft like the man I once knew. "Sarah, you don't need this kind of stress." "No," I said, "you don't. But you brought it on yourself." Then I hung up. 2 days later, Chelsea called. Not texted, called. She was crying. "You're ruining us," she sniffled. "You're humiliating us. Please, Sarah, be a woman about this." Pause. Being a woman means knowing your worth. And I'm done shrinking for either of you. Then I blocked her. From that point forward I didn't say a word. I let Linda do the talking and the paperwork do the cutting. Marcus and Chelsea hired a lawyer, tried to challenge the partition. Didn't work. The judge looked at the deed, the mortgage, and said the magic words. "Miss Parker remains a legal co-owner." Unless the parties agreed to a private buyout, the property must be sold. Linda smiled at me in court. I didn't smile back. I was still watching, still waiting. Revenge wasn't complete yet. They still had keys. They still had a kitchen. They still had heat. But now they also had a deadline. 60 days to either buy me out or get out. And I already knew they couldn't do either. Chelsea wasn't working. Marcus's salary hadn't changed. And now they had legal fees on top of mortgage payments. I walked past the house one morning and saw "For sale by owner" sign on the lawn. They were trying to handle it themselves. Avoid agent fees, maybe rush a sale. But the market was tough, and karma doesn't play favorites. I sat down at my kitchen table, my new one in my small but peaceful rental, and lit a candle. Not for them. For me. Because this wasn't about destruction. It was about restoration. And they were about to find out what it feels like to be erased from something you thought you owned. Chelsea started posting vague quotes on Facebook. Some women don't know when to let go. Bitterness will rot your soul. The comments were passive-aggressive, full of staged selfies and filtered tears. But I wasn't looking for pity. I wasn't interested in what she called healing energy. This wasn't spiritual warfare. This was legal. By week 3, the "For sale" sign was gone from the yard, replaced with a clean, professionally printed, now listed placard. I recognized the name of the agent. Linda had made a few calls. We weren't letting them go cheap. If they were going to sell the house, it had to be at fair market value. No shady under-the-table transfer. No backdoor deal to Chelsea's cousin or Marcus's golfing buddy. This was a clean split, which meant they had to work with us. Marcus texted me again, this time not angry. "We need to talk about the staging." I didn't respond. He tried again. "Can you please not remove everything? Chelsea's feeling really exposed right now." I almost replied. She wasn't feeling exposed when she wore my husband's t-shirt and told me I was pathetic, but I took a breath and passed it to Linda. She handled everything with the realtor. I didn't need to step foot in that house again, and that was by design. Let them feel the walls closing in. Let them walk past the bedroom I slept in for 25 years and wonder what else they didn't know. By the time showings started, they were already unraveling. Chelsea called the listing agent in tears, asking if she could delay visits until they found a new place. The agent politely reminded her this was a court-ordered sale. Not a choice, a requirement. They had to keep the place spotless, ready for strangers to come in and judge their countertops. I heard through Anthony that Marcus was sleeping on the couch some nights, that he and Chelsea were fighting constantly, that he told her, "This is what happens when you poke a bear." I wasn't a bear. I was the deed. They didn't just underestimate me, they misunderstood me entirely. I wasn't the kind of woman to scream or throw things. I was the kind of woman who signed documents with a steady hand and waited for the storm I planted to bloom. At week 5, an offer came in. Full asking price, no contingencies. The buyer was a young Hispanic couple expecting their first child. They fell in love with the house immediately. Linda told me before she told anyone else. They wanted a fast closing, 2 weeks. I said, "Perfect." Marcus called me 3 times that day. I didn't answer. I was at my nail appointment, getting a shade called rust red. I liked the symbolism. Later that evening I checked my voicemail. First message. "Sarah, come on. This is bigger than just us. You don't want to do this." Second message. "You're really going to let strangers walk into our home and erase everything?" Third message. "I know we ended badly, but this is vindictive. You're not leaving us with anything." It was the first time he said it out loud. Us. As if they were a unit now. As if his betrayal had matured into something legitimate. I suppose that was his way of saying Chelsea was in this with him, for better or worse. Unfortunately for them, worse was what I had left. The day of the final walkthrough, Marcus had to be out of the house for 4 hours. I know this because Linda told me. They'd requested a brief extension to clean up. The buyers had already scheduled movers. There was no more time left. When they left that house, they weren't owners. They were trespassers with keys that no longer worked. Me. I was $385,000 richer. Marcus finally broke his silence in person. He showed up at my new place, a quiet little 2-bedroom unit with a garden view, and knocked like he still had the right. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. He looked smaller, not thinner, just shrunken. Like gravity had finally caught up with his lies. I came to ask you something, he said. I crossed my arms. Can you help us with the deposit on our new place? We're short. I stared at him. Excuse me. He raised his hands. I know how it sounds, but we had no idea you'd go this far. We thought I'd stay quiet, I finished for him. He nodded. You've never been the spiteful type. I'm not spiteful, I said. I'm strategic. There's a difference. He shifted, awkward in his stance. Chelsea's staying with her sister. I'm at a hotel in Riverside. I didn't think it would end like this. You ended it, I reminded him. You made your choices. You moved her into my house before the ink on our divorce was dry. He had the nerve to look hurt. We were in love. Love doesn't steal. Love doesn't lie. And love damn sure doesn't send me a letter on lavender paper asking me to schedule pickups like I was some stranger. His eyes dropped to the floor. I leaned against the door frame. You didn't just replace me, Marcus. You erased me. So I did the same. He stood there for a second, then nodded slowly. No argument. No outburst. Just quiet understanding. The kind of silence that follows true defeat. When he left, I didn't close the door right away. I watched him walk away. I thought about the years I spent shrinking so he could feel tall. Thought about every time I bit my tongue so he could save face. Thought about the nights I cried in that house while he was working late. And I smiled. Because sometimes justice doesn't come with sirens or applause. Sometimes it comes with a signature on a dotted line, and the sound of a man realizing he bet everything on someone who didn't even read the fine print. Let them figure out where to go next, because I already know where I'm headed. A week after the sale closed, the house I helped build became someone else's fresh start. I didn't cry. I didn't even drive by. Linda offered to meet me for lunch to celebrate, and we did, over catfish and collard greens. She toasted me with sweet tea and said, "You did what most people only dream of doing. You made them feel what they made you feel, powerless." I nodded, but inside it wasn't just about revenge. It was about restoration. Closure. And if I'm being honest, maybe just a little bit of vengeance too. Marcus and Chelsea had officially vacated the property 2 days before closing. The real estate agent told Linda they left it clean but cold, like a hotel room after checkout. I could picture it. Chelsea trying to fluff pillows while cursing under her breath, Marcus probably stomping through each room, grumbling about lawyers, paperwork, and me. They thought I was petty, but I wasn't the one who crossed the line first. They did that when they moved her into my home like I had never existed. Now I sit in a kitchen that's entirely mine. There's no echo of anyone else's footsteps. Just me, my mug of tea, and the hum of a life I built from the ashes. The mug I'm holding says, "Unbothered and paid." It was a gift from Linda, and it makes me laugh every time I sip from it. I don't think about what I lost anymore. I think about what I reclaimed. My dignity, my voice, my damn name. And the best part, I did it all without ever raising my voice. Because silence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's a warning. And sometimes it's the beginning of war. My name is Sarah Parker. I was divorced, discarded, and disrespected. And then I reminded them, legally, financially, spiritually, who they were dealing with. They bet against the wrong woman. And now, sleep well. I laugh often. And I never answer blocked calls. That's not revenge. That's recovery. End.